They didn't like it, guys. They didn't like me talking about it. They didn't like me talking about it. Connection got lost. I was getting a little bit too much in it. They didn't like me talking about it. Can someone tell me where I left off? Because I stopped it because I realized something looked frozen. I didn't like the way things looked, so I don't know what I was talking about when it cut out exactly. Draco. What did I say about the Draco? Hegel. Hegelian dialect was the last thing I said. Okay, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Okay, well, I hope I didn't miss anything too important. Because you know me, I'm an ENTP. Sometimes we say, sometimes we say brilliant things, and then it was just there for that moment, and then that was it. So the Hegelian dialect. Okay. So yeah, that's one of the ways that they've engineered so much war and conflict throughout the history of this planet, is that they would create a problem that we didn't know they created the problem. They create a problem, and then we would create a reaction to that, and then people would react to that problem naturally, and then they propose a solution, and that's how they would gain power over things. Okay, anyway, so the Draco are gone now, but there are various bloodlines. The Illuminati family. Illuminati are just one of the many secret societies. The thing is, they all want the same thing. They all want the same outcome. They all want the same end of history, apocalyptic timeline, where they take control over everything. And this is important. This is what I was saying before. I think you guys didn't hear it, but the reason that they need us to do this is because a lot of the Matrix is based on fear, and it's based on us not understanding our free will. This is the thing. If you do not want that timeline to occur, it doesn't have to occur. Now, of course, you by yourself may not be enough to shift that, but if enough people were to believe a different timeline, things could change, right? Okay. So they had this timeline, but with the Draco left, and there's mixed reasons about why the Draco left. It was probably some degree of intervention from other entities because they didn't like what we were doing here. From what I've heard about it, what they were doing was strictly legal. It was legal, but kind of frowned upon by other races of ET. They don't really like it too much. So anyway, Draco leave, maybe for their own reasons. I think Draco traps are gay, but I don't know if you'd want to tell a Draco that, because they can be pretty terrifying from what I've heard. So you have all these different branches of the Cabal, and this is relevant because of COVID. Okay, so it was having a hard time trying to understand how did COVID come to pass? How did we get this thing? Because it was like, it's a Cabal engineered virus, but yet why would obviously this isn't a really good look for China. Well, here's the thing, guys. These different branches of the Cabal, Freemasons are Illuminati, or they're all connected to the same Cabal status. You have these different parts of the Cabal, and they all want the same outcome, which is the global government, right? The same outcome of everyone being afraid, but they have different ways of how they're going to go about doing it. They disagree. So some in the Cabal circles didn't really want to get rid of the world population. At least they didn't want to kill it off, because they harvest us. We're their cattle, guys. We're their cattle. I'm not going to talk about some of the things around this in this Periscope, but they harvest us for loosh. They harvest us for loosh, which is our energy. That's what they feed off of. That's what the Draco feed off of, and that's what the Bloodlines have learned to feed off of. Them through more tangible things to an extent, like such as adrenochrome, which is not the only one I've heard, but a very common and normal one at this point in history. So, okay. So ISIS was a Cabal entity. It was designed to create fear, and part of the Hegelian dialect, right? Oh, there's ISIS. We have to go and do something about it. Hegelian dialect. Problem. ISIS is the problem they created. So, basically, you have one part of the Cabal, China, and China, for instance, they had this Wuhan Viral Research Center, and they were developing a bioweapon there for their own purposes, right? I've also heard that this virus, and apparently, I'm not going to get into the details of this because it's kind of hazy, but suffice to say, it was also sort of mixed with like a animal hybrid laboratory there as well, because there's a lot of genetic hybrid shit that's going on, guys. From what I've heard about this, you can look up Magenta Pixie. She has some good channeled information on this topic. But basically, it is suffice to say, it's kind of gross and whatever. This virus. The point. This is the point. Okay, this is the point. Let's not get into the weeds here. The point is that this virus was released by another part of the cabal. And this makes sense because other things I'd heard, that there was an altercation, that someone was trying to get the virus, and then there was an incident, and someone got shot, and it got dropped in the wet, and in that market, basically, and that's how it spread. But this is the discrepancy, is that the cabal, this is two branches of the cabal. One branch wanted a lot of depopulation of the world, particularly in East Asia, because there's an enormous amount of population there. Another branch didn't. They all want the same thing, but they're squabbling since there's no centralized leadership anymore. Okay. Now, there is aspects of the white hats being involved with this. And I have to say, look, more confirmation than ever, as if I need it. I don't think you guys needed it. But Trump is with the DIA and other branches. It's mostly concentrated in America, but there are other bastions around the world. They're called the Alliance. That is their official name. They are the Alliance. Okay, guys? And they're basically trying to fight against this stuff. We talked about earthquakes last time. That's the underground military bases. Okay. So COVID was a mechanism for them to create fear, and that was a way to harvest people. But this is the important thing, okay? This is the piece that a lot of things... DIA is a Defense Intelligence Agency. This is an important thing right here, okay? The purpose of COVID was to create fear because they have lost the timeline war, okay? A huge part of this entire thing was about the timelines. So the Draco and the parents, etc., they had access through rituals and whatnot. Really, we're talking about mostly the parents at this point. They had access through basically magic and technology to be able to deal with things in the fourth dimension. Okay, the fourth dimension is where the Matrix exists, or at least where it did exist. But since the Draco left, that has kind of gone a little bit more offline. What is happening to the Earth is that we're transitioning into a higher vibration. Okay, so we're these low vibration emotions, which are mostly introduced by the Draco conditioning of this planet. That stuff is going away. Okay, the timeline war on a higher level has been won. They are trying to change the timeline of all of this. I know this stuff is nuts. Okay, this entire fucking... You wouldn't be on here if you guys weren't interested in listening to some crazy stuff. But this is actually what's happening, directionally speaking. Of course, details will be wrong, but directionally speaking, this is what is happening. There was a fight over the timeline, and the timeline shifted from what I've heard around 2012, maybe a little bit earlier, and that we moved into a timeline where we're going actually to a golden age, and that things are going to be better, and that that the Matrix is basically going to be completely removed. And there are individuals in the Alliance, of which Trump is a part of, a major, crucial part of. They have helped... I'm Christian. They have put this forward. They have put this... They have helped to play this role in this. Now, of course, it's also happening in other densities. One of the things is that the Cabal, they have the ability to see into the fourth dimension, and they can see apparently shadows of the fifth dimension, which is where things are very, very bright. But they can't see actually what's going on the higher level. So they thought that they had control for outcomes, and this is why they were able to engineer these conspiracies so well, is that they actually... The Alliance does protect Trump. Trump is actually a major part of the Alliance. The Alliance, you might say, in a certain sense, is aspects of the military that were prepared to use a military coup against the Cabal. They aligned themselves with Trump, basically, to try to reduce the violence in the transition. No, guys, I appreciate that. That's kind, but I mean, I'm just a synthesizer. There's other people who are really doing research on this, and I really encourage you guys, like, think for yourself. This is just for speculative purposes and to have fun, right? Have fun with it, hold it lightly, but really, like, be guiding lights for other people during... There's a timeline battle going on, and here's the thing. In a certain sense, you could say that we've won. We've won on a higher level, on a fifth dimensional density. We've won because it's already been sort of set there. But here's the thing, guys. Over in the third dimension, this is so weird. I gotta take a drink. It's too weird. But look, It's very bright. But look, it patterns, guys. It patterns, okay? Like, it actually fits. So if you just get yourself out of the paradigm that you've been conditioned in, this is, like, legit. We can't actually have things shift here unless we choose for it to happen. Okay? So DIA and the white hats, they need, this is one of the things it's like, well, why can't they do it for us? Well, because they're not here to take control from us. They're here to give us back control. And for us to take back control, we need to actually take action, and we need to demand it ourselves. Like the JFK thing. People are like, well, why hasn't Trump released the JFK documents? Well, who has gone and asked for them? Have the American people stood up and say, we want to know what happened to JFK? We want to know. No, we're still in the cattle mindset. Most of us are still in the cattle mindset. And there's a lot of people in the fucking manosphere that are there to prey on your cattle mindset. I'm going to call out. I don't do this a lot. Do it very rarely, actually, if you guys know me. But I'm going to call out the con artist and convict, Gary, the numbers guy, who's a complete piece of shit. Someone can tell Gary I said this. He's a complete piece of shit, and I know his game. I know what he's doing. He's trying to fool people with fear so he can profit off of them. And look, every single one of Gary's predictions are going to be wrong this next year. I'm telling you this right now. Gary thinks the New World Order is going to happen because Gary is a low vibration piece of shit who is designed to try to bring you guys down. I know some of you kind of like his stuff, but this is not even about numerology. I got nothing against numerology. There is numbers in the universe, the power of 369, all of that stuff is not Gary V. This is important. So I'm just saying, look out for people like this. They're all going to get ratted out recently. These are people who have been preying on you. They are part of the old timeline, okay? Anyone who's telling you that we are going into apocalypse is knowingly or unknowingly part of the negative timeline, okay? They want you to believe that because they are feeding into the demons in the cabal, because that is the game they play. Fuck those people. You guys got to be strong. You guys got to be courageous, and you guys got to think in a positive way. I'm getting like aggro here, but here's the deal: like, everything good is ahead of us, but we have to manifest it. We have to believe it. We have to take this. There is still a chance that the cabal. There's still a chance. This is why the cabal is doing everything they possibly can to create fear right now. Because if enough people fall into fear, then that timeline can actually potentially come back in. Okay? This is really important. You need to believe that things are going to get better. You need to be a voice for other people that things should get better. Now, speaking of Q, whew, man, fired up. Getting fired up here. Okay. Well, he was off for denying Israel access to the bomb, but that is just a very, 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 very minor part of the entire thing. I mean, that's just part of the bigger game. He was really off. 3 days before he said that, he said, I will take the CIA and I will splinter it into 1,000 pieces. Okay, that's why he got shot. And really, I mean, some people debate about Reagan, but since World War II, I mean, the only presidents that haven't been cabal were Eisenhower and JFK. Like, confirmed, until Trump, of course. So, and that's tough for a lot of people who have their own sort of view of history, but okay. So, this brings us to Q. So, Q is a military intelligence operation. But here's the thing. This is where it gets really crazy. So, if you've been following the Q community a bit, this is not Gary V. This is Gary the numbers guy. Okay, look him up. Cuyahoga County Clerks, Gary Grinberg. You're gonna see felony for assault of a police officer, stealing property, and fraud. Okay, you're gonna find that stuff. I used to be a private investigator. It was easy. It took me 2 seconds to find it. The fact that people, so Q is not military industrial complex. 1 second. You can leave it there. I'll take care of it. Yeah, it's fine. Thanks. Take care. That's fine. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks. I'm getting drone striked. No, that's all done, guys. It's all done. Trust me, I'm aware of this stuff. There's a reason I haven't talked about it before then. I wait for the right time. Really, before this, in the previous years, if you wanted to know any of these things, you had to really know who to talk to, and you had to talk to them on a private level. You have to seek out the information on your own, but we're in the middle of the Great Awakening right now. So everybody who's been a little bit clued in over the past years, it's now, I mean, really, it's everyone's obligation to try to spread this out at this point in time. So I want to talk about this about Q, though. This is interesting. So there's a lot of debate in the Q community at the moment about this guy, Austin Steinberg. I'm going to talk about that at the end, 10 Days of Darkness. Don't worry about that. There's this guy, Austin Steinberg, and he sort of like appeared on the scene, and he's claiming he's Q, which is pissing off a lot of people, suffice to say, who were in the Q community for years. And, there's stuff like Q says no outside comms, etc. So how could this guy be communicating that he's Q? Well, I pay attention to it, and I had the luxury of not being like, I always followed this stuff very loosely. I was never like inside the Q movement. You never saw any hashtag Q, none of that stuff for me. But I pay attention, see what they're talking about. And well, I gotta say, guys, I mean, he checks out. It all checks out. He said things that just simply could not be. And recently, it was really confirmed because he was basically talking about exactly what a Q drop would say before it was said. Now it's very strange though, because this is a 29-year-old DIA guy from. Lives in Arizona, but his family is very interesting background history. Mother's side descended from the Queen of Spain, father's side an SS officer. Very crazy family history. So anyway, very good guy though. You can tell he's a good guy, but he's kind of like, I guess to be honest, like no offense, Austin, if you're watching this, probably not. You're busy doing other things, but I would say it's a little bit of a cheesy personality, But everything checks out. And most of all, Majestic 12, which is a very important account you guys should follow, because that's straight up deep level DIA account, 100%, no doubt about that, was backing him, which actually made me pay a little bit more attention. Anyway, but here's the point of this, okay? This is the point, because I was kind of digressing. That's going to unfold on its own naturally over the coming weeks, and that's a very, almost political kind of thing. Oh, I got to fill up, guys. I got to fill up. Man, we're getting so fired up today. This is such a serious topic. Just a serious topic, okay? Majestic 12, yes. Very important account to follow. These guys have been talking about how you manifest it yourself. A lot of what Austin's doing is trying to get people to take action. And this was important because, well, look, dude, you can say that. Are you going to apologize? Are you going to apologize? And I'm not trying to single you out, but you guys really need to start suspending disbelief about stuff. I see way too many people who are like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. That's wrong. No. Listen, hear it out, pay attention to it. And if you don't know for certain because you don't have a clear thing one way or another, then just wait and see. But this easy thing to go out and dismiss something completely. Look, Austin is the last person I would have ever like this. But here's the thing. People are like, well, the Q operation was actually Austin, but it was being sent to him from the future. Okay? This was part of the timeline war. So him in the future was sending him in the past messages, and also not just him, but also Trump and the rest of the DIA here, information about how they could change the timeline and how they could. And this has to do with quantum computing, and quantum computing can, 45 zero digits of possibilities. And so there's a lot of different layers to this, and we can talk more about this in future periscopes. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this is a battle that's not just it's not like a physical battle. It's literally like a timeline war. And which is why I think if you're paying attention, you can feel almost as if there are two competing timelines going on in the last couple of years. You can actually feel it if you really pay attention. And this is the whole idea about like people living in two different worlds, right? They have one different reality, we have a different reality. That's a timeline battle because what we believe influences the trajectory of the timeline. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about here today is the 10 Days of Darkness. It's going to be really brief on it. This is a speculation. I mean, everything here is like, hold everything in these videos lightly, but this is a really pure speculation here. I have heard quite a bit about how the internet has been like a double-edged sword, ultimately undoing of the cabal, because everything that they wanted to get us in like a network where they could monitor us and control our thoughts. But the other issue, I will check that out. That's interesting, man. The Earth resonance. But the other thing about it is that when we've been in this, what was I going to say? I think I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Can someone remind me what I was saying before I answer that question? So remember what I was, the 10 Days of Darkness. Right. So the internet's been this double-edged sword. And so because it's also been allowed us to be able to track them and also to expand our consciousness, because now we can talk with each other and we can understand that there's actually other people who have been figuring things out, right? And this was the kind of undoing of them. Okay. So the whole thing with the 10 Days of Darkness, I don't know, but there's a lot of speculation that one of the final cards that the Cabal is going to play is they're going to try to take down the internet for a period of time so that we are not able to communicate, and that would create fear. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort. Now, if my calculations on that are correct, it would make a lot of sense that and this is hold it lightly, okay? This is not like a hard prediction. This is really just complete speculation, but I know that, and Trump's really confirming this, that this stuff is going to be, we're going to be good to go by Easter. I mean, obviously, this is going to be disclosure for the next year. I mean, shit is going to be crazy the next 9 months, okay? Crazy the next 9 months. But this chapter of it and the disclosure is going to start to begin after Good Friday, okay? So if you think after Good Friday, what you're really looking at, especially because it seems like there's some sort of biblical allusions here, I'm going to guess it's going to be in April, the first 10 days or so of April. That's my guess. It's going to be the first 10 days or so of April. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't happen. People have said maybe it's not going to happen. It's just the potentiality. But point is, guys, if the internet goes down, don't be afraid. Go out and talk to your neighbors. I know with COVID, everything, but COVID's taken care of. Do not be stupid with COVID. Take it seriously, okay? Take it seriously. But we have the cures for it. Everything is getting taken care of. Like this is not the Armageddon. COVID is not going to kill off the entire world's population. It's not happening. But let's just be aware that it's possible that the internet goes down for a week or so. Maybe that's the 10 Days of Darkness. That would make sense to me. That would make sense to me. So with that, happy to answer some questions. Why celebrity arrest? Well, I don't know if self-service will go down. How come celebrities were wearing the mask prior to the virus? Well, to play with the idea, I mean, some of them knew about it for sure. And I've heard different things about it, to what extent, how many of them knew about it. I've also heard about, and I think it's correct, that some of the COVID was tainted. I mean, this is why you have to hold all these details lightly. A lot of these talks, it's to expand your curiosity. It's very important, guys. I do not like, and to be honest, I don't even really respect the role of me being some sort of I don't know. I don't know the truth. I'm here to help you guys to think freely for yourselves and be curious. If you can't, for instance, listen to this Periscope because it's too long, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not going to give you some dumbed down version of it. I'm not going to waste my time trying to wake you up. I get these questions sometimes like, oh, like, how long is it? Oh, like, what's the abridged version? Fuck you. Fuck you. That's the abridged version. Fuck you. Like, you don't care? You don't care enough about what's going on to watch it? I mean, it's fine. I don't care about if you watched it or not. It's not about me. But you want me to tell you the truth, and you can't watch me do a whole video on it. I mean, this mindset has to die. So everything in here, be curious. I love questions from people who are like, hey, I was looking at this stuff. What do you think about this? I love that, guys. I love that. But if people are, and I'm not talking about the person who asked this question at all, but I'm just riffing here. Be curious. This is for your mental stimulation. This is to wake you up so you can find the truth. And I don't know the details. One of the things here is that the White Hats have a massive military operation going on right now. And anyone who tells you they know exactly what the White Hats are doing is full of shit. Or they're no, they're full of shit though. Because even the people who I know who probably have some inkling, they won't share it because that would be bad for the operation. War is deception, okay? You are getting disinformation constantly, and you are getting it either because you're being manipulated or you're getting it because it's for your own good. That won't last so much in the future, but for right now, taking down this evil fucking cabal, do not demand to know the truth. Do not demand to know all the details of the operation, okay? This is about trusting, and you have to use your heart and you have to trust it. And I know some people don't trust Trump, and I understand why. But I mean, in the heart of hearts, it's wrong. Everything is going well. I can feel it in the energy. So will cell service go down too? I have no idea, right? I don't think it's going to be electricity blackouts, but you could be right. That would be certainly. Here's the thing about the electricity blackouts: much easier to take down the web than to take out electricity. To take down electricity across the entire globe, very, very difficult to do that. That said, it would be certainly a serious cause of alarm for people. If you want to create fear and panic, that could certainly do it. Though, it would definitely be a desperate measure because people are going to know what's going on. I mean, if they're going to shut down the internet, they're going to shut down the electricity. I mean, people are going to know that it's not just a virus, something else is going on. I have said that the lockdown is going to be going on. Okay, I don't know if there's maybe some mop-up stuff. What I have said is that by Easter, restrictions are pretty much going to be lifted, that we're going to be starting to enter the disclosure period. And I have friends who were big, anti-Trump people who are now waking up to this stuff and they're seeing it. Because the thing is, if you can suspend, this is the one piece, it's the hardest piece for people. If you can suspend fear and distrust and hate of Trump, then things can start to make really a lot of sense. But this block, it's a big block for a lot of people. I saw the Project Bloombeam video in Jerusalem. A friend sent me it. It's not a real video, guys. It's not. That's a looped video. It is sound. And it's very important that we don't fall for these things. So whenever you see stuff, I know we want to jump on it, and I had that same feeling, but we really gotta do our research. We gotta check it out. Remember, I told you guys I made this mistake a little bit. I mean, it was a mistake. It wasn't. I think I was still right on basis, but I was talking about these videos, these images from Wiener's laptop being released. It wasn't true, and that was on me for not checking more what had already been released. So we have to be cautious because one of the ways that we get discredited, like with Pizzagate, right? 80 to 90% of that was true. 80 to 90% of Pizzagate was true, but they added in parts that were false, and then they amplified that in the media, and they made everyone look stupid for doing it. And that is very, very good intelligence operation right there. It's a really great way to discredit people who are stumbling upon legitimate stuff. I have not checked out Dr. Russell McGregor, but I'm going to take a screenshot right now so I don't lose it. I'm going to check that out later on. Thank you. Are you biased towards a certain type of flatulence experience? I like the silent but deadly. It's one of my favorites. because I'm an intelligence guy, right? I like subterfuge. Blame somebody else for my own fart. How will the celebrity be told to the public? I don't know. I did not mention 5G radiation on this one. I thought about it. The issue with 5G is that 5G manipulates your it damages your energetic field. I didn't talk about energy fields too much in here. It's related to 4D and 5D. But your 5G is damaging to your electromagnetic to your energy field, suffice to say, and so it depletes your immunity, so it can make you more susceptible to COVID. But I have ruled out at this point that COVID is a nano sort of virus. I don't believe that. I entertain the idea because I entertain ideas, but it doesn't pattern onto anything. 5G though is it's inconvenient to unleash a virus in a 5G location like Wuhan, because you're going to get people much more sick much faster. David Icke, man, David Icke can say what he wants. It's cool. I don't care. Read David Icke. I mean, David Icke's he's got some interesting things to say. I think he's a lot of truth with error with David Icke. With COVID cure available, how do we know CABAL won't get their hands on it? Well, CABAL is getting their hands on it probably in exchange for talking. I mean, I think that's probably one of the leverage points that they have. I'm not worried about it though, because as long as listen, guys, this is important. The only thing missing from the piece right now for us to really get through this is us rising up and manifesting and acting and demanding the world that we want. I know that sounds like lame or other terms for that, right? But that is it. The cabal is done if we want them to be done at this point. They have lost the timeline war unless we completely rest on our laurels and just stop giving a shit. A plasma event. I don't know what that means exactly. Who was the cabal? See my previous videos. 5G talked about that. Yeah, I heard about that. Inhaling farts. What I think about ID 2020? I don't know what that is, to be honest. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, I'm using my broadcast power from other things just to talk about it, basically. So I appreciate you guys showing up and talking. Yeah, right? I mean, this is not like... What's the short version? Oh, man, that's like trying to read the history of the world in a tweet. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't know if they invented AirPods, but I'll tell you this. Austin Steinberg Q wears AirPods, so he doesn't apparently care. But I'm telling you guys, fried my fucking brain. I'm not wearing them. I don't know if I'm ready for a Telegram group chat. It's just too easy for moles and stuff to come in there. Not that I'm super worried. I'll consider it, man. It's a good idea. But, I mean... The good guys are concentrated in America. White hats are a group of people, mostly in the military, but also extending to other fields. A big white hat is Elon Musk. Okay, Elon Musk. Space Force. Space Force has actually been off record, and Space Force is literally just the open nationalizing of SpaceX. You guys will find out about that soon enough. Air Force will be disbanded. Space Force will be... a lot of their assets are going to be distributed among the other branches of the services. But Space Force is Elon Musk satellites are being set up already, and they're designed to give to Wi-Fi to the planet and to prevent nefarious electronic activity. The White Hats and the Alliance are the same thing. They're people have been saying the White Hats, but personally, I think the Alliance is a little sexier. What about David Icke? I mean, David Icke's truth with error, man. I mean, I wasn't certain about his energy, but he certainly says interesting things that are important. What do I think of the UK sudden turn to lockdown? I mean, I think that so the alliance is mostly centered in America at this point. Brexit definitely had to do in part with it. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you things I don't know. I can speculate on it. Think that there needs to be. I mean, we're in mop-up operations right now, but there's serious stuff going on, man. I mean, there's serious. Like, the cabal is not powerless. This is not something that you can just like check out of. People are they're fighting, and they've got it mostly under control, but they need our help. And some of these things, it's important to shut it down just to make sure that there's no civilian casualties. What role can we play in this? Positivity meditation. Look, I know a lot of guys who follow this stuff. I'm not a big fan of hippies, and look, I gotta tell you guys, I hang out with hippies a lot. A lot of hippies had a very, very hard time with Trump. They're gonna wake up to it. Don't worry. They got literally almost everything else right. They just couldn't get Trump. You know, sometimes there's a piece of the puzzle that's hard for our ego. It's tough to imagine that a billionaire who's kind of like Biff and Back to the Future 2 could actually be somebody who cares about saving humanity. It's tough to believe that if you are blinded by your ego with it. The ego, people ask me, how do you do discernment? How do you discern things well? Get rid of your ego. I have an ego. Okay, I'm not perfect, but what I mean is that I really try to set it aside when it comes to information, which is one of the reasons why I always make sure to humble myself on stuff like this, because it's like, if I start to put my ego into a prediction I make, then like I'm going to start making bad predictions, because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, like I said this already, and fuck, like I got to try to obfuscate the truth so I don't look bad. Just don't do it. Just lean out. So there were people in hippie communities really like going back to the 60s who were opting out of the structure that existed at the time. All that stuff, the protests with Vietnam, which was all cabal activity, the hippies were right. Okay, the hippies were right. They were opting out of the system, and they were going towards a different world. Now, I don't think that they got everything right, but as a fundamental energy level, they were very, very helpful in transitioning timelines. So thank them for their service, guys. Thank the hippies for their service. I got to say this. It's very important. If we are going to transition society, we're going to unify society, right? 5D is very much about unity versus separation. We need to come together with the left. Most of the people who are watching us are on the right. It's a false dichotomy, guys. It's a cabal false dichotomy. Most of us, we may have slightly different opinions, but we're mostly like on the same page and stuff. We love people. We want to, help out humanity. We have been playing. Some groups have been playing better roles than others, of course. Some have been more manipulated than others, but there are a lot of people on the left, and I think that, frankly, hippies or I say hippies loosely, spirituality community, blah, 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 New Agers, they get things wrong. Sure, we all do get things wrong. We all get things wrong, but their heart is in the right place, and we have to look for alliances here. They want the truth too, okay? They want the truth too, and we need to come together. We do have time to prep. Yeah, we're fine. Like, stick to the quarantine. We got 2.5 weeks to go. 2.5 weeks to ride this storm. All right, hunker down. Keep your social distancing, because COVID's real. COVID can kill you. It's a real thing, but we can't fear about it, and it's not going to kill off the population of the world. You're going to see it start to evaporate very, very quickly as April goes on. Say that. Austin said we shouldn't go outside right now because what I just said. I mean, COVID's legit. It's a legit virus, guys. It's a bioweapon. All right, I'm not fucking around with that. It's a legit bioweapon. Just because I'm saying that it's going to get cleared up, it doesn't mean that it's not a real weapon. It's like me saying there's a live nuke. Doesn't mean that there's not a nuke. Like, but we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay, and you have to manifest that positive timeline with it. There's also other things to this. I don't want to get into it. It's a little bit too esoteric for the talk, but COVID was never going to kill us all off. So I don't know what happens in April. I think that we're going to start seeing some arrests made public after Easter. I think that's going to happen. There's going to start to be overt disclosures about the cartel Austin's ad is just literally look up Austin Steinbart. I mean, Steinbart, you can do it. You'll get it. Is Bezos Cabal? Almost certainly. Yeah, certainly is Cabal. I don't know. I've heard about the plasma event. I've heard about Project Blue Shield. I don't know anything more than that, guys. Not anything more than that. Tom Hanks, almost certainly under arrest right now. Again, I don't know. Gary predicted everything. That's one of the things. Gary predicted the New World Order. This is the thing, guys. Gary predicted COVID wasn't a big deal at all because the New World Order was taking control. So he predicted the New World Order's timeline, which is that we are all going to be afraid and we're going to give up stuff for COVID. And then New World Order is going to take control, okay? That is a completely incorrect reading of the situation. And you don't have to believe me right now, but it will come out. And it's fine. It's going to come out. I'm smoking these rats out right now. We all are. The energy is smoking them out. Everybody who's in a service to self, parasitic,